Hi there, my name's Rachel. I'm from Mindful Therapies, and during this Christmas period, festive period, we're going to be releasing the 12 videos of Christmas. So, selection of 12 videos where we're going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we might experience during Christmas, New Year, and the surrounding days, and how we might use mindfulness to work with those challenges. Today I would like to talk about food. Food's a huge issue in many different ways during this time. Well, it's a huge issue in many ways anyway, but can be a particular issue during Christmas, New Year, and etc. So for months now, there's been adverts on TV about all of the foods that you need to have the right, perfect Christmas. And it's like big tables with like lavish everything. So there's a sense of the pressure for that. There's the sense of abundance and gluttony, and they're almost like a celebration of us kind of overindulging. There's that kind of those kind of messages are all around us. And then a couple of days after Christmas, or certainly a couple of days after New Year, there's a lot of messages around we shouldn't have had that, starting diets and all of that kind of thing. So there's this sense of pressure to have lots of food, pressure to buy the right food and provide the right food for everyone, and then a sense of potential guilt and shame and beating ourselves up, and then starting on a diet in the new year. So it's quite challenging and toxic, and I think for a lot of us, if you struggle with food anyway, this is potentially going to be a particularly difficult time. So I want to talk about a couple of things. One is mindful eating. So I'm going to lead through a little mindful eating exercise just to kind of encourage us to listen to our bodies when it comes to food. Notice actually what we're experiencing rather than just let's have the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and then feel awful about it. So we'll do a little mindful eating exercise, and then I'd like to say a little bit about just being kind to ourselves. Giving ourselves permission to feel how we feel, but notice that voice that wants to beat ourselves up and see if we can challenge that a little bit. So, mindful eating first of all. So I'm doing this exercise with chocolate. You might choose to just watch. You might choose to go pause the video, go and grab some chocolate and try along with me. You might choose to watch it and then try it later on. Whatever works for you. Or you might just go, oh, that's not going to work for me. And it doesn't have to be chocolate if you're doing this exercise. You can do it with whatever feels right for you. So the idea is that it's essentially about bringing your senses into something simple, ordinary, like eating. So I have got half a bar of chocolate left, and I'm already noticing the wrapper, the sound of the rustling of the foil, and I'm gonna open it up and snap off one piece. In case it's melty, I'll take a little bit of wrapper as well. So I'm looking at my piece of chocolate. That's what it looks like. And I'm noticing the colours, the textures. I'm noticing how it catches the light. I'm noticing any imperfections. I'm noticing how it looks slightly different where I've snapped it. compared with the kind of smooth edge that's been created by the machine. I'm noticing just touching it, there's a slight meltiness. My favourite bit is noticing the smell. And already I can kind of get that sense of my mouth watering when I notice the smell. I'm also noticing it's actually quite cool, quite smooth to the touch, but ever so slightly melty. So I'm going to take a little taste. I'm going to notice the chocolate melting in my mouth. And there's actually some truffle in the middle. So I'm going to smell it again, see if it smells different now that that's more accessible. It almost has a kind of richer smell. So I'll take another bite. This time I get a sense of the texture. I get a sense of the squidgy texture of the truffle and the sound as I bite into the actual chocolate. And as I'm eating it, and you might try this when you practice mindful eating, I can think about all of the, like how this got to be here, like all of the different people involved in creating a piece of chocolate and a wrapper. So it's milk chocolate, so there'll be cows involved, there'll be farmers, there'll be cocoa plant farmers, sugar farmers, all of these different people and processes. There'll be factory workers and lorry drivers and shopkeepers, all of these different things that bring this bit of chocolate into this room. And then added to that, we've got the technology that means that I'm able to record this so that you can see it. So even though, let's face it, 2020 has been a strange year, a lot of us are more alone. Just to have that bit of chocolate, we're not alone. So we can have that sense of gratitude. So I guess what I'm encouraging you to kind of think about when we practice mindful eating is, rather than getting into I shouldn't have had that, or like that kind of beating ourselves up for what we have, what we don't have, all of the thoughts and the stresses that we can get into around chocolate or any food, just chocolate because that's what's there. But all of those stresses that we can get into, if we can kind of go, I appreciate this, and make it a full sensory experience. Let it last 5 minutes. And just see what happens. So I want to do a little meditation as well. And it's a little breathing practice that we can use when we notice anxious feelings, or when we notice feelings of discomfort around food or around anything during this time. I'm just particularly talking about food today. All we're going to do is we're going to notice our breathing, and we're going to think of a couple of reassuring things to say to ourselves. So it might be just, it's okay. Or it might be, I am allowed. Whatever phrases we might need to hear. Maybe what we might say to somebody else who's struggling. See if we can say those things to ourselves. So we'll just take a couple of minutes. So making any adjustments to your posture. So you might choose to be sitting on a chair reasonably upright with your feet kind of flat on the floor. And you might choose to close your eyes. And just tune into your breathing. And as you breathe in, saying something supportive or kind to yourself. Maybe just, it's okay. And as you breathe out, saying something else that might be supportive or helpful. Or it might be something to let go of. So as we breathe out, we might say, I let go of guilt. So breathing in, it's okay. Breathing out, I let go of guilt. And just noticing how that feels. So just whatever words or phrases feel right for you, connected with the breath. And then just letting go of any words, letting go of the practice. And opening your eyes when you're ready. So a practice like that can be really helpful when we notice a difficult feeling or some difficult thoughts coming up. So maybe if you feel pressured to eat something that you don't want to have, you feel like you've eaten more than you wanted to, or you're feeling in a bit of a dilemma around food, or whatever kind of comes up for you around food and drink during Christmas. Just noticing when those thoughts come up and just pausing, connecting with your breath, and seeing if you can just use a few breaths to say something soothing to yourself. Speaking to yourself like you'd speak to anyone else. Because generally we're a lot more supportive to others than we are to ourselves. So I'll leave it there for this session. Hope there's something in what we've done today that's been helpful, and hopefully if you've still got chocolate left from your selection boxes, have a go of eating it mindfully and see if you can just get that little bit extra enjoyment from it. Thank you. Bye.